Hello, my name's John. This is a Space Marine Devastator Squad and Intercessor Squad, and you're watching Wargames Models and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I am just going to be making something, but I can't just make it normally out of the box, so I'm going to be using parts from the Devastator Squad and the Intercessor Squad to make a Primaris Devastator Squad. Specifically for one of my Space Marine chapters I'm making, the Void Crows. I'll put a picture of them now. And this chapter specifically has a company that, rather than following Primaris kind of doctrines with what troops they have and that kind of thing, they go with the more older codex. So they have tactical squads, Devastator squads, assault squads, that kind of thing. I've already made a Primaris tactical squad quite some time ago, which I'll show you now before I start making the Devastator squad. So this is my Primaris tactical squad. There is the sergeant with a combi weapon, and here is one of the Primaris tactical marines with a bolt gun rather than a bolt rifle. And then here is a missile launcher wielding Primaris Space Marine. Now, it's only a matter of time before the firstborn Space Marines are kind of completely disappear from Warhammer 40,000. They'll always be around in Horus Heresy and things like that. But I do like the original firstborn now Space Marines. But they are very small, and as you'll have seen in quite a few of my videos recently, I've been scaling up factions such as the Grey Knights. I've done a Deathwatch Watchmaster to be Primaris scale. So in this video I'll be making Primaris Devastator Squad. There's not much else to say about it really, I'm just going to start making it. I have already started with the Intercessor bodies. So I've put those together. Obviously left the arms, heads and backpacks off. So let's open up our Devastator Squad box. Now, as a box set, I really like the Devastator Squad because you get a lot of items in it. If we have a quick look at the sprue, on this one we have 2 heavy bolters and 2 multi-melters. On this one we have 2 las cannons and 2 plasma cannons. Then on this one we've got 2 missile launchers, and I think they're the grav cannons, so we've got 2 of those. So that's a total of 12 heavy weapons for only 5 men, and one of them being the sergeant. So you only have 4 heavy weapons in a squad. So from this set, it's possible, with an Intercessor squad or a Space Marine tactical squad, you can make 3 Devastator squads. So this hobby, there's no beating around the bush. It's expensive. And I always look for ways to kind of try and make it cheaper, make an army more efficient and that kind of thing. And that's something that I look at, is what things can I buy that have more items in them than I need just for that squad. So the Devastator squad is a specific one, and I've got one later on down the line with another type of squad that I'm going to do a video on as well. But for this one we're going to stick with the Devastators, and I've been thinking about what I want weapon wise for this Devastator squad, and I'm actually going to go, originally I was going to go heavy bolters, but I want to use the heavy bolter, or at least one of these, to make a Stern Guard veteran squad for my Space Marine chapter, because they can have a heavy weapon in them. So what I'm going to start with is a las cannon. So I'm going to get the parts off for the las cannon, put it together, choose one of the appropriate bodies and put that on, and we'll have a look at what it looks like. So as I said, it is an expensive hobby, this, and I do look for as many ways as possible to get my miniatures as reasonably as I can. So I often look on eBay for model kits, I know straight away there'll be people talking about, well, 3D print them and stuff like that. And I work with 3D printers, and I like not having them in my hobby. I do use them occasionally, but I prefer working with injection molded plastic, to be honest. And I know there'll be people there going, oh no, use 3D prints and stuff like that, but use what you want. It's your hobby. You can use whatever bits and pieces that you want to use. I'm sure there will be times where I will use 3D print stuff, and I have done in the past, but I do like working with the model kit. There are also other model kits that I could get into to use, which are far cheaper, but as I've been doing Warhammer for so many years, I've kind of become heavily invested in it, and I'll probably always do something Warhammer related, even if the game as we know it changes. But it's your own hobby. Do it how you want. Don't let anyone dictate to you what you should and shouldn't use when enjoying it. I'm sure there'll be people who agree, and I'm sure there'll be people who disagree, but it's what you want to do with your hobby. I've cut too many. Oh no, I haven't cut too many arms off. I have cut too many arms off. I wasn't paying attention while I was doing it. Right, I want that longer arm. That one is from the plasma cannon. Pay attention when you're also cutting things out. Don't babble on too much. But anyway, the video's not a soapbox. It's just me making a model kit and scaling it up as a Primaris scale. So my chapter, let's talk about them. The Void Crows. I'll put another picture up of another model up on the screen while I'm talking about them. They are a Primaris chapter, so they don't have any Firstborn troops in them, but they do follow Firstborn doctrine. So in their background, they are aware of how the Firstborn has, well, tried its best over the millennia to try and keep the galaxy safe. Not that successfully really, but hey, depends whose side you're on. And that being the case, they have a single company of Marines that follow the Codex hierarchies and squads and that kind of thing. So it's more old school rather than the new kind of layout of the different troops and everything, which I quite like the idea of. And I'm sure in the game it won't be long before we lose tactical squads, devastator squads, and all of those Firstborn squads. It's just a slow phase out. There's data sheets for all of them, so they're never going to truly go. But I like the idea of having them scaled up. Now, I have no issue with the Firstborn models, as I've used them for many years, but I don't really like Firstborn models alongside Primaris scale models. It's my own personal opinion, and it just doesn't, they don't look right to me. So I kind of avoid mixing them together, which does mean I have a lot of different Space Marines, but there is my favourite era of Space Marines actually is the Badab Crusades, the Badab War, sorry, and I'm hoping down the line to do a few more Badab themed armies. The Firstborn is never going to go away as long as we've got Horus Heresy as well, so the models are always going to stick around. A few might disappear, which will be a little bit annoying when we're trying to make armies and things, but that's the way of it, things move on. Right, that's what I'm trying to do with this, is just glue a few of the bits together, and then have I not trimmed? Oh no, that's okay, okay. And now let's put the sight in place. So I'm not going to put you through making the whole squad. I'm going to put one heavy weapon together, and then, because I probably want to have 2 las cannons, I'm only going to do 1 in this. And then obviously there's the sergeant as well. Actually that. And it's finding the pose that works for this. Because the other thing is as well, certain bits aren't necessarily going to fit. So that's looking like it's raised up slightly too much. Oops. That one as well looks like it's going to be raised. There we go, I'm going to go with that one. And I've only made the 5 intercessors from the sprue, but obviously there's 5 more, so I might make some bodies as doubles. That's going to work. So, key thing that I'm going to need to do, obviously, square peg, round hole, doesn't quite fit as well. So, I'm going to trim that off. What was I saying about what was I making? Oh yeah, so I'm going to have 2 las cannons in this, and then I'll decide what are the 2 weapons that I want. But the key thing is the sergeant. I haven't decided what loadout the sergeant's going to have. So once I've made this one, I'll jump ahead to making the 2nd las cannon, and then we'll have a look at another weapon. So you're not going to have to sit through me making all of them. If you want to sit through me making all of them, please drop a comment and I'll do a video where I spend the time going through all of them. But right now we'll just stick with 1. So what I'm going to do is hold that arm in place, then it's not going to glue, is it? It's going to be a bit annoying. Something is stopping it. It's probably the chest plate of the Primaris is slightly bigger than the chest plate on the other Marines. I'm gonna have to bring that round. Okay, let's. So this is also a useful kind of time test fitting these things to work out exactly what works and what doesn't work, and immediately I can see there's a gap on in between those sections, so I need to have a look and see. That needs to come around to there. Okay, so the benefit of using the poly cement is it takes a little bit of time to cure. Okay, it needs to go a little bit further over and go off. So I can take it off, move it around a little bit, and so on. And I've got to be patient as well. One of my, I don't really have New Year's resolutions, but one of the things that I want to try and do this year is be more patient when making models. So taking my time while I stick them together. Okay. Oh, I've got a feeling that that arm is gonna be... Let's see what this arm looks like. I got a feeling it's gonna be too far. Let's tidy that lower section of that arm up a little bit. Okay. Oh no, that's okay. Bit of an optical illusion on that arm. I'm going to nudge things though. Let's bring that up slightly and hold that. So what I'm going to do, no, let's bring that back down to stick that in place. Okay, just going to put a little bit of glue in there to melt that plastic in place. Yeah, so you can see that that arm's slightly further forward just because of the difference in body shape of the Primaris models to the firstborn. Yeah, I'm going to have to probably fill that gap, but for now that's okay. I'm going to bring this up so it is the position that I want it to be in, and I will fill that gap afterwards. Yeah, it's quite a fair old size gap there, but that's okay. So let's get a shoulder pad and a head for this guy, and I'm going to use the shoulder pads and the heads from the Intercessor sprue because I want to keep the ones on the Devastator sprue for when I make a firstborn Devastator squad. And that's the benefit with that thing. I could make, like I said, 3 Devastator squads, or use the bits for conversions. And this Intercessor squad, like I also said, I'm going to make a 5-man Stern Guard veteran squad for my Space Marine army as well. So let's just tidy up the seam line off the head. Well, remember to be on camera, and I've just touched glue on the top of the model. Let's quickly wipe a lot of that off. Okay, should have probably put the head on before I glued the gun in place, but that's okay. Okay, yep. Let's get that shoulder pad on. Okay, so there we have a Primaris Devastator armed with a las cannon. I'm going to put together the 3 other heavy weapon troops, and then we'll come back, have a look at them, and I'll put the sergeant together. Okay, so I've made the 4 heavy weapon Primaris Devastators. That was the first las cannon I made, and as you can see we've got that little gap there that I'm going to fill with something later on. And on all of them, that's generally the problem. There's that little gap just there. So second las cannon, and then I've done a multi-melter with a gap there. I'm going to see if I can heat this and bend it, but we'll see later on if that works down the line. And then a heavy bolter, and again a small gap just where the feed goes into the backpack. But really happy with the result of these 4. I like the Primaris scale, but I also like the old Marines, and I can have that in this situation. So I've got a Devastator squad, but at Primaris scale. Now I want to finish this squad off with the Sergeant. So let me get the parts together for this guy and we'll put it together. So first thing that I need to hunt for through the sprues is the Sergeant's backpack, which I've probably seen but haven't paid much attention to. Right, where's that gone? Oh, there it is. Right in front of me. That one just there. So let's get that backpack. And then for the weapons for this Sergeant, I'm going to go traditional Sergeant of bolt pistol and chainsword. So I'm not going to do anything overly complex. He's going to be there in case anyone gets too close. He can do a bit of slicing and dicing for anyone who gets too close that the heavy bolter doesn't sort out in the squad. Now, whenever I'm making squads, doesn't matter what army it's for, or characters for that matter, I don't mind if they don't have the strongest loadout or the best weapons. It's not why I make the models. I like to have something that looks good. So that's going to be that one just there. So that's that ready. Now, there is the chainsword from the Devastator squad, which is the one I want to use for this one. So we'll get chainsword out. And now the key thing for this model, the bolt pistol, isn't going to be the bolt pistol from the Devastator squad. It's going to be one of the bolt pistols that you get with the Intercessor squad. Mainly because I like the position and pose of it, but also, there we go, that one just there, I do like the newer slimmed down bolt pistol that the Primaris Space Marines have. So it gives a little bit of an updated look to a classic, and I do like that bolt pistol. Right, won't worry about the shoulder pads yet. Let's get these glued in. So first things first, let's trim off the back plate, and that was a safety squint moment. Okay, so this is the one drawback with using Primaris bodies and the old Firstborn items, is you lose that locating marker for the backpack. So if you do this, be careful while you do it and make sure you line things up how you want them to look. And I say how you want them to look. It's your hobby. You can put things together however you like. Some people might not like the idea of Primaris Devastators. Some people might. Entirely up to you if you want to put them together. I like the idea of them, so that's why I'm making some. But you just got to remember, it's your hobby. Do it how you want to do it. And that being the case, don't listen to people who say it's wrong. No bit of a hobby is wrong when it's your own hobby. So I won't tell people how to do bits of their hobby because it's their hobby. I like to give tips and advice on how to make things, but how you want to play them, entirely up to you. And that's the best thing about hobbies. But hey, that's a completely different conversation. At the moment I'm dropping miniatures, which I do quite a lot, if you've watched any of my other videos. Right, let's get this one on. Gotta be careful, I've got a new glue at last, and I don't want to accidentally spill it all over the place. Okay, I'm going to have to tidy up mould lines and things afterwards, but I don't mind doing that when all the glue's gone off and everything. So there is the pose that I want this guy to be in. Now, head-wise, I'm actually going to look on the Devastator sprue, because I quite like the idea of one of the bear heads from that, although I think I'm going to go for I've used quite a few of these. This is the problem. I would love if Games Workshop would produce a whole sprue of just Space Marine heads. Helmets, not helmeted, masks, not masks, bionics, not bionics, male, female, doesn't matter, doesn't bother me. Just a whole sprue of the different heads. It'd be fantastic for conversions and things like that. Now I've got to make a decision, and I don't like making decisions. I'm going to go with a bear head, and I'm going to go with a bear head from the Devastator one, and I'm just going to go, I think, for that quite stoic bald head there. Let's clear the worst mould lines off. There we go. Yeah, if you've got any suggestions for other videos you'd like to see me do, by all means drop it in the comments. I'm really open to different ideas. I do enjoy making videos as part of my hobby, and it's becoming more and more part of my hobby, which I'm really quite enjoying. Right, this one is going to have, as it's the sergeant, I'm going to put the shoulder pad with a skull on it, and then let's just get that other blank shoulder pad. Now I haven't done the cherub from the Devastator Squad because I don't know if I want that aesthetic in this army, so I might come up with something else to go with it. I actually have something else that I could use, which I'll grab at the end and show you. But let's just get this put in. Now, I'm thinking that I'm going to have the blank shoulder pad without the skull is going to go on the chapter symbol shoulder. So for these guys, that's going to be the left arm. There we go. And then the one with the skull is going to go on this side. Try and get, this is the problem, the backpack's slightly in the way. No, that's okay. No, that works. That works. Okay, let me quickly go and get my idea for the cherub. So I've just got it out of my display case because I made this quite a while ago when I was coming up with the chapter. The Void Crows have different kind of servo skulls, so this is a bird skull for the servo skull, and I think that'll go really quite nicely with the squad as the cherub. So let's bring them all in. Really happy with the way they look. I've still got a little bit of work to do on them here and there. So we've got the two las cannons, we have the multi-melter and heavy bolter, we then have our sergeant and the alternative cherub. There we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's something that I really like doing. I'm going to do other ones like this in the future, see if I can make the most out of all of these kits and do as many different squads and conversions with them, so I don't have to buy loads of extra bits and pieces, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, any comments, chuck them down below. If you like this video, consider hitting a like, possibly a subscribe. But for now, all I've got to say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.